Alright, so now we're gonna look at where we're gonna set this up. So it's right here. So we have to take out these screws, and before we do anything, make sure to turn off the power. So we're just gonna start off with taking these screws. Again, power should be off right now, so you should go down to your basement if you guys have a house, turn off the power so there's no electricity running through here. Now once we take this off, before you disconnect anything, okay, so we won't be taking these out, I want you to take a picture of how everything's connected, and that way you guys have a good reference if you need to put this back at any time. So what we want to do is take out one at a time. So we want to set up this guy first and then go for this one right here. So you may notice some pretty tricky connections, which isn't really. This one just connects up to this one because it just makes sense. It's this whole connection that we have here. Now at this stage we should move all the wires around so we can see clearly what's in here. I can see here there's my ground over here. Now from what I can see with my particular case, that my ground wires are very small. So that means I'm gonna need to stretch that out so I can hook up my new connection. Now here's what we want to accomplish, and this is the reason why I need my grounding would be the green. We do have the white, and we do have our live and load over here. So again, always take a look at the diagram and follow it as you see it. So what I'm gonna need in my own case is some extra wire. So here's some extra wire. I'm just gonna cut it around here. So inside that cable I have these three, exactly what I need. Black, white, and right here my ground. So as we work on that, we have to get this ready. So with a screwdriver, we're just gonna unscrew this a little bit. Okay, just make sure it's nice and loose. I'm gonna do that all the way around. How this works is pretty easy. So looking at our diagram, neutral, which would be our white, would go right in here. So once that's right in there, then and only then we actually tighten this up. Okay, so this will stay and it's not gonna come out. Then all we have to do is just connect this up here. And like I mentioned, we're gonna do one by one. So we're gonna do this one first and then the other one. So what we have to do at this point is just copy what's happening here with this whole connection. So this one's connecting up to this one and so on. We're just gonna copy that over. So as mentioned, we are doing one by one just to keep that and not to screw anything up. And of course, you guys took that picture of this whole connection before getting started with this. So we're just gonna unhook these two cables from here. So to take that out with a really small flat head, usually works well. We're just gonna press that in here. Once we press that, we can just pull this cable up and it should just pop out. Sometimes it's pretty hard to do, sometimes it's easy. So let's hope this one's easy. So there we go. It wasn't the easiest thing in the world, but it came out. Obviously, if you can have some help with this, it's gonna help out a lot. But you can do it with one hand. So one hand presses, and with your finger, you kind of just pull it out. So that means at this point, we're just gonna connect our live, which would go, actually our load would go right here. So load goes right there. So I'm just gonna lock that side. We're gonna press this one here live. So you guys can feel it, or you guys will hear something when it goes all the way in, and then you guys can just tighten it up. So that's the connection right now, as you guys can see. These two are connected, that's connected. My ground, just have to hook this up to here like I mentioned from before, and then our ground is on the back. So at this point I'm just gonna move this one away. I'm not connecting the ground just yet and the white cable, I'm gonna leave that, and I'm just gonna move on to these wires here. So again, we just have to take them out. This one for example is just on the side, so it's easier. It's just with a screwdriver. So it looked like two cables, but it's actually just one that went through here and then went up to that one. We're gonna do the same connection on the new thing. So we have our cables loose. We're just gonna go ahead and just bring them up. So my load would be this right here plus this guy, and then here's my live on the other side. Just make sure that you're putting this the right side, so these guys should be going this way. There we go. And before we tighten that up, we're gonna place that in here on the side. So we can't place cables on the side, by the way. So finally got this to go in there. It was kind of tricky, the cables. Other than that, everything looks okay. Now comes the easy part, which is just hooking these guys up. Just all the whites will go together. So right here, white, will go up here. Okay, so that will be connected there, all the whites, plus all my ground cables, which are right here, will go to the back where all my rest of the ground is. Now for some of you, this might be green, by the way. Now just an edit I'm gonna do right now, just because the cables were a little too short and all that, I am gonna switch around my life and load from this one, my initial setup, so just everything makes sense. And make sure as you're doing this, again, we are viewing that this is upwards, and it's no big deal if you do it the other way around. It just looks nicer if the Wi-Fi goes up. At this point, we're putting the ground together, and we're gonna put that first because that's all the way in the back. And then this right here, the white cable, it's the easiest one because it's all the way out here, so that's okay. I know it's a little hard to see, but what I did was just hook this up back there with the rest of the ground. It was kind of difficult, and I can't really move my camera in there, so to make sure it's really tight. And before I close all this up as well, I'm gonna try that this is actually working. So I don't want to close this and then find out that I have to take everything back out just to make sure that everything's connected right. Sometimes it gets loose once you push it in, so that's why it's good to push it in but not put the plate on it just yet. So just a quick note, if you guys don't have these, they just make your life easy, but maybe once you guys open this up, there's tape. You can use tape. And right now, because I added these, I know there's this exposed wire here. I don't like that myself, so what I do is put some tape on there. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So the tape itself, you guys can get this from the dollar store. So the tape does have to be electrical tape, so just make sure you're getting the right one. And I just cover that up because I don't like exposed wire. And then we're just gonna push it in. So as we push this in, things can get loose, and that's why I usually don't like to put this plate over just yet before I test everything out. However, everything seems to be okay. So we did get these two brand new screws from a package. However, we can use the old ones, and this will go down here below. I'll just show you where. So right here, it's gonna go one, and then the bottom one. So we're gonna start off with this one. So for the bottom, I used the old one because it didn't fit. The new one did not fit down down here, so I had to use the old screw. So once you place those screws, you guys can just go ahead and place this over it. And to finish that off, we have these screws that came in with your plate. So at this point in time, get your iPhone, iPad, whatever you guys have with your app ready, and we're going to turn on the power, and hopefully these two will have some light. So as soon as we turn on our power, we should see these blinking like so. So just make sure that's actually happening. That means we do have some power running through this. So at this point, what I recommend is holding this down for 20 seconds until this happens. However, it's already happening. So let's go back into our app and everything's gonna be from there. At this point, we're gonna add a device, and yep, we're gonna add that on. So right here, we're gonna get a lot of options, and in this case, this is a Wi-Fi switch. So just scroll down, we're gonna see switch Wi-Fi, and we're gonna go ahead and select our network, which is this right here, add in our password. Once we put in our password, let's just go into next. We are gonna save this password. So we can see that it is blinking quite fast. So 1, 2, 3, it's blinking quite a few times. So we're just gonna go on and go on to next. And we should see this scanning. So it should be scanning for this at this point in time. And we should see this message prompting. So ensure that Wi-Fi signal is good. Ensure that device is powered on. So just after a bit, we should see this. So switch to, and then switch. This is fine. I'm just gonna leave it as is for now. Hit done. So switch to and just switch. We're pretty much done at this point in time because we just added them, and we can just click on them, for example. And right now we can turn on and off, or we can just go into other switch and turn it on or off. So you guys could see it's turning on and off. Of course, my other switch you can't see because that's actually for outdoors. But other than that, we are all done. The last step would be to pair this with Google Home if you guys have Google Home, which we're actually gonna take care of that in our next step since we're done with our basics for now. So before we get started with adding Google or Alexa into this, we should rename our switches to be what we want. So right now we do have two switches that's under Home, and what we're going to do is tap on them and just tap on them again. And on top you're going to see this sign. So we're just going to rename this to something that makes sense to us. So for example, switch 2, we are going to rename it to outdoor light because that's exactly what it is. So outdoor light. Confirm. Once we do that, there's other stuff down here below. So for example, we have Alexa, Google Assistant, and so on. We can just go on and see more. Okay, and for this particular video, we're gonna do Google Assistant. Something else, if we keep scrolling down and go all the way down, I want to show you that you can remove this device from here, as well as updates. Updates is really good to know. So turn this on to automatically update. That's very important actually for both of them. You should turn on automatic updates. I usually tell you in my videos to never turn on automatic updates, but in this case, you will probably miss out a lot of updates if you don't turn that on. So we're gonna scroll up, we're gonna go into Google Assistant, we're gonna link this up. So down here below, we're gonna see link with Google Assistant. So we're gonna go ahead, press right there. Now what this will do is open up our Google Home app, and then it's gonna take us here so we can link it up. So just type in your email and then your password. Once you put in your email and your password, that would be for this app, okay, not your Google Home app, but your password for the app for the switch, and then just press unauthorize. Now on your screen you should see this, outdoor light and then switch. I haven't renamed that switch yet, I will right now. However, I just want to show you with this outdoor light. So we're gonna choose actually both devices. Let's just start off with this one, and we're gonna go into next. From there, it's gonna ask us to choose our home. Once we do that, just go over and choose which room or create a new room. So in this case, we do have front yard in here in the list. So we're gonna add that on, go into next. If you already have a room, then you're good to go. You don't have to select something new. And we can choose switch. So this switch is another one that's from the inside. So I'm just gonna go ahead, add that on, go into next again, choose my home, and then from there it's gonna ask me where's this device. So this one is actually my living room. So I'm gonna choose living room, and I'm gonna go into next. By the way, everything that we did right now, we can always change later on. So down here below, we should see front yard and then living room. I should see my switch. So I can turn this on or off. So right now we are all done. I can just say, hey Google, turn on lights, living room. And Google will also make that noise in the background as well. Or I can tell, hey Google, turn off lights, living room. So that noise is coming from my Google Home, not from the switch itself. Also your switch, you might notice that this is the steady light that it should have at this point. And when I tell it to turn on, hey Google, turn on lights, living room, this will change. So you guys can see that only this one's that bluish color and this one isn't. Hey Google, turn off lights, living room. There we go. And then it's back to this bluish light. Anyways, that would be it for this video. If you guys have any comments, questions, you guys can write down here in the comments area. Don't forget to subscribe and rate. Thank you.